Today we're going to learn how to use Adobe Photoshop selection tools. In today's lesson you'll find 2D shapes geometric.png. If you load that up, you can right click on it and copy the image. And then if you open Photoshop and go to File, New, and it should come up with the correct dimensions for the image we've copied. Click on OK, and then Edit and Paste puts that onto the screen. I'm then going to click on the magnifying glass tool and fit screen so that we can easily see everything at once. To make selections, there are a few tools available. So the first of all are the marquee tools. So the move tools at the top, just below that, we have various marquee tools. We've got rectangular and we've got elliptical marquees. A rectangular marquee, as you'd expect, allows you to highlight a rectangle. So this blue rectangle here, I can drag a box around it, and that's it highlighted. We can also drag it around a square, and as I start to drag, if I hold the Shift key down, it will constrain that to be a square where the height and width are the same. I let go Shift too early there. We can also use the Shift key once we've got something selected to add to the selection. So if I want two shapes at once, I can have the rectangle and the square. And this extra bit that I didn't mean to get, I can remove that using the Alt key. So hold down Alt, it becomes a minus cursor, and I can remove this extra bit here. So rectangular tool for rectangular type shapes, but that's not much use for things like circles. So what can we do? Well, we can go into the elliptical marquee tool, and I could drag an ellipse around this oval here. If I start in the top corner and drag down, then I can highlight that oval. Now, knowing where the exact corner was is a bit tricky, so an alternative to that is that we can start in the middle of a shape. So this is my first selection I'm making here. So I can hold the Alt key down, and then I can drag from the center out the way. And you can see I've kind of missed the exact center, but that's not a problem because once I let go, let me just try that again. Once I let go, so Alt key, drag out my circle, I can then move inside the selection shape and then just drag that selection around. So you can actually move selections to better fit the shape you were aiming for. This crescent here, you might think is a difficult thing to get, but I can start here. The approximate middle is about here. So I can start and I can drag with the Alt key held down and get it to fit that outside shape like so. And then I could use the Alt key again, but this time to then subtract a chunk from that shape. So remember that Shift adds on and Alt subtracts from our selection. So to get a crescent, I chopped a circle out of a bigger ellipse. To make the cross, I'm going to switch back to the rectangular marquee tool. I could do this in several ways. I could either make a box and then use the Alt key to chop off the corners. Or, more simply, I could probably just have highlighted the vertical part and then used the Shift key and highlighted the horizontal part. Now, not all shapes are as simple to deal with as that. So something like the heart here is a little bit more tricky. We have lasso tools. And the lasso tool lets me just drag carefully a shape around what it is that I want. The only problem with this, of course, is that if I don't get it exact, I get some extra white around the area, which is not really what I'm looking for. So an alternative to the lasso tool is to use the magnetic lasso tool. And what the magnetic lasso tool does, if I click at the start, is it tries to bind to the edge of high contrast. So wherever there's a change in colour, it tries to lay a point down there. And you can click your own points if you want, and that makes it more accurate if you can accurately click. But you can see here I've made a reasonably good job of picking up the heart shape there. There is also a polygon lasso tool, and what that does is it allows you to click at the corners of a shape. So this octagon here, I can just click at corners. Should have 8 sides altogether for an octagon. And then when you move back to the start, it turns into a little circle next to the lasso, and then that shows what your selected path will be. Finally, it's maybe a bit easier sometimes to use the Magic Wand tool. So the Magic Wand tool lets us pick up things of the same colour. So if I click, for example, in this hexagon here, then it's picked up all of the pale purple, but not the darker purple around the outside. I do have a tolerance here set at 25 at the moment. If I was to put that up higher, maybe something like 50, and then try that again, click inside, and still not quite, so maybe I take it up to 100, and this now has picked up the darker colour as well as the light colour. So this is a measure of how strongly it will stay within a particular colour. I'm going to put it back to about, say, 40. Could have quite easily picked up the heart there, for example, like so. I've got the inside but not the outside, so one of the things I could do is to go to Select, Modify, and Expand, and maybe add 3 pixels around the outside. That's taken a little bit of the white as well, so 2 pixels would probably have done. So that should get you started with making selections using the Adobe selection tools.